you know that you can make your own transparent soap base without using fractionated coconut oil and sorbitol? Yes, you heard me right. I made this transparent soap base without using fractionated coconut oil and also without using sorbitol. Just in case you don't know, fractionated coconut oil is really expensive. Imagine buying 250 ml for 8,700. It's really expensive. So, if you want to learn how to make your soap base without fractionated coconut oil, you can watch this video to the end. Now, without wasting much of your time, let's get down to business. Hello friend, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing well. In this video today, I'll be teaching you how to make glycerine transparent soap base. And to make your glycerine transparent soap base, here are all the requirements. The first thing you need is distilled water, and yes, using distilled water is a must. It's very important that you use distilled water. So the first thing you need to do is to measure 50 grams of distilled water. And after that, you'll be needing white sugar. So for the white sugar, you'll be needing 50 grams as well. Now, just in case you're wondering if you can use brown sugar, I really can't tell honestly because I've not tried it before. I'll recommend you using white sugar. I mean, it's even cheaper. So please do well to get white sugar. Now moving on, what I'm making here is called sugar solution, which is just a combination of water and sugar. And please make sure you're doing this with distilled water. So you'll be needing distilled water and white sugar. So I started off with 50 grams of distilled water and 50 grams of white sugar. Then along the line, I decided to increase the measurement of all the ingredients. So now I'll be using 90 grams of distilled water and 70 grams of white sugar. Earlier on, I started with 50 grams of distilled water. So now I'll be adding extra 40 grams to get a total number of 90 grams of distilled water. And also, I started with 50 grams of sugar, and now I'll be adding extra 20 grams to get a total number of 70 grams of white sugar. So in total, we have 160 grams of sugar solution, 90 grams of distilled water, and 70 grams of white sugar. And that will be a total of 160 grams of sugar solution. Now stir until everything is properly dissolved. Then you can set it aside and move on to the next step. For the next step, you'll be needing cold pressed coconut oil. You can either use cold pressed coconut oil or fractionated coconut oil. Please take note, cold pressed coconut oil is different from fractionated coconut oil. So you can either use any of these coconut oil, and please do not use heat pressed coconut oil. To know the difference between these three coconut oil, you can make a research on Google to know the difference between fractionated coconut oil, cold pressed coconut oil, and heat pressed coconut oil. But for this, I recommend you using fractionated coconut oil or cold pressed coconut oil, which is what I'm using here. So I'll be using 250 grams of cold pressed coconut oil. Now, like I said earlier, fractionated coconut oil is quite expensive. 250 ml is about 8,700, and this cold press is just 5,300 for 500 ml. So you can see the difference. So measure out the 250 grams of cold pressed coconut oil, and the next thing you need is castor oil. And for the castor oil, I'll be using 16 grams of castor oil. So I had 250 grams of cold pressed coconut oil in there. Then I'll add extra 16 grams of castor oil, and that'll be a total number of 266 grams of oil. And after that, the next thing you need is stearic acid. Stearic acid. And for the stearic acid, I'll be using 105 grams of stearic acid. 105 grams of stearic acid. So go on and add the stearic acid, and after that, you can proceed with the next ingredient. Just in case you're wondering why we're using stearic acid, the main purpose of adding stearic acid is to help harden the soap. Now, when making transparent soap base, we use ingredients like glycerine and sugar solution, or you can use sorbitol. So it's very important to add stearic acid to help harden the soap. So that's it. Now moving on. After adding the stearic acid, the next ingredient you need is vegetable glycerine. And for the vegetable glycerine, we'll be using 300 grams. Now you can see that the content of the glycerine is even more than the oil. So yeah, we need stearic acid to help harden the soap. It will help to make the soap hard. So that's it. Add the vegetable glycerine and then you can move on to the next step. For the next step, we need to heat up the oil to dissolve the stearic acid. And to do this, you can either use a microwave or you can use a double boiling method, which is what I'll be using. Now this is called double boiling method and it's just basically boiling water with a saucepan and then place the bowl of your oil in the simmering water and allow the stearic acid to dissolve, and also we need to allow the oil to heat up as well. Now while our oil is heating up, we can go ahead with the next process. For the next process, we are going to make lye solution. Now please take note, before making lye solution, make sure that the oil is already hot. The oil needs to be hot before you start making your lye solution. So while the oil is still on the heat, we can go on and make our lye solution. So for the lye solution, I'll be using 127 grams of distilled water and 64 grams of caustic soda. 127 grams of distilled water and 64 grams of caustic soda, and that's how to make your lye solution, a mixture of water and caustic soda. So in there I have 127 grams of distilled water and I also added 64 grams of caustic soda to make a lye solution. So you're going to add the caustic soda into the water and then you stir properly well to dissolve, and also make sure that it's dissolved. There shouldn't be any atom of cloudiness in it, and if the caustic soda have any atom of cloudiness in it, it can affect the outcome of your transparent soap base. So just make sure that the lye solution is clear and translucent, and after that you can bring down the oil from the heat. And here I have the oil at 82.5 degrees Celsius, and the lye solution I have about 83 degrees Celsius. Now the truth is that my aim for the oil was 90 degrees Celsius, but I really don't have much time, so I had to stop at 82.5 degrees Celsius. So if you have time to wait, please allow the oil to heat up to 90 degrees Celsius. Then after that, you can bring down the oil and pour in your lye solution. And when you add the lye solution, there will be a chemical reaction called saponification, which is exactly what you are seeing in the video. So you're going to stir properly well, and you need to be extremely fast. So stir properly well for like a minute. And if you're making in a large batch, you can use a hand mixer or a stick blender. But if you're making maybe this amount, you can just do this with your whisk or your spatula, just as I seen it in the video. And also please note, if your oil is not hot enough, or if your oil and lye solution is not hot enough, when you pour the lye solution, the saponification trace is going to be extremely thick, which will require you doing this with a stick blender. So I'll recommend you doing this when the lye solution is hot and oil is also hot. And even if you're making it in a large batch, use this method and it's going to come out fine. So after mixing for like a minute or two, you're going to cover it, set it aside and leave it for like 4 minutes. Now leaving it for some time is for a complete saponification, or you can call it gelling. So we need the soap to gel, so we have to cover it and leave it for some time, which is 4 minutes. So this is around 6 minutes after 8. So we're going to leave it until 10 past 8. So this is after 4 minutes, so we can then proceed with the next process. Now please take note, here is a very important thing you need to look at for when making your transparent soap base, and it will also help the outcome of your soap base. When you pour the lye solution during the early stage of saponification, you will notice that the soap batter is pure white. It's going to be pure white, but after mixing properly well, cover and leave for 4 minutes, you're going to notice change in the color. Now after you cover it for that 4 minutes, that pure whitish batter is going to reduce. Not like it's no longer going to be white, it's still going to be white, but not as pure as it was when you pour the lye solution. And also you're going to notice change in the texture. It's going to be a bit jelly. So after you leave it for 4 minutes, the texture is going to be jelly, and that's the difference. So after that 4 minutes, mix properly well with a whisk, and then you can go in with the next ingredient. And for the next ingredient, you need ethanol. You can either use isopropyl alcohol or you can use ethanol. So go on and add the alcohol, which is either your ethanol or your isopropyl alcohol. And for the ethanol, I'll be using 250 grams. Now please take note. Make sure to measure your ingredients separately. Do not do what you're seeing here. Don't just mix direct to avoid adding too much. So please make sure to measure with a different cup and then pour it in. And same goes to all the ingredients. Please do well to measure separately. Just don't do it the way you're seeing it in the video. You can measure it separately and then add it one after the other. That way it will help you and also prevent you adding too much or more than you should. So when you add the ethanol, go on and stir properly well. Now this is the thing I said about making sure that the soap batter is properly mixed. When it's properly mixed, when you add the ethanol, everything is going to dissolve without you having to stress so much about dissolving with hand mixer or a stick blender. So you can see I'm only doing this with a whisk, and that is because I was able to dissolve the soap batter well. So when you add the alcohol, make sure to mix properly well for like a minute or two. And after that, you can go in with the next ingredient. And for the next ingredient, you need your sugar solution. You can either use sugar solution or you can use sorbitol. And in this case, I'm using sugar solution. Now the major ingredient to use here is sorbitol. But an alternative ingredient is sugar solution, which is what I'm using here. So you can either use sorbitol or sugar solution, which is just a mixture of distilled water and white sugar. Now, when I was adding my sugar solution, I noticed that my sugar was not properly dissolved, so I tried not to add all. So please, if your sugar is properly dissolved, please go on and add all the sugar solution. So when you add the sugar solution, go on and mix properly well. And if you're using sorbitol, you have to use the same amount, which is 160 grams of sorbitol or 160 grams of sugar solution. And for the sugar, we use 70 grams. Distilled water was 90 grams. So that's it. So now when you add the sugar solution or your sorbitol, mix properly well, and then it's time to cover again and leave it for about 4 to 6 minutes. Now this time we need everything to properly dissolve. Now if your soap is still not well dissolved, it's going to take a longer time and it might take about 8 to 10 minutes. So all you just have to do is to cover it, or you can boil water with a pot, place the bowl of your soap in the pot and cover it, then leave it to dissolve in the hot water, just like we did with the double boiling method. Please do not pour the soap into the hot water. Just place the bowl of your soap into the hot water and leave it there to dissolve properly well. Now when everything is properly dissolved, it's time to transfer this into a soap mold. And if you don't have a soap mold, you can pour it into a plastic plate, just like the one I'm using here. So just pour it and then leave it there to harden. Now there's this urge that comes with making transparent soap base. You want to see the outcome, you want to know when it's hard, you want to see if it is still clear. That's why I got this small plate. So you can get a small plate like this where you can pour a little bit. You can use that particular one to monitor the soap to know if it's going to turn out clear or not. So that's it. So that way you wouldn't have to keep checking on the big one and keep checking if it's whatever. So that's it. So you're going to spray alcohol if there's any need. If there's bubbles on the soap, we need to spray a little bit of alcohol, then leave it for like 10 minutes and cover it with a paper towel. And after that, you can keep checking the small one to check if your soap is still clear or not. Believe when I tell you, there's this urge that comes with this. You will keep checking. So that's why you need this small one, and this one will keep helping to check if it's turning cloudy or not. And as you can see, it's still clear. So we're going to leave it till the next day. So now this is the next day at exactly 8. So I'm here to check on the soap. Let's see the outcome. And boom, Now, starting with the small one, you can see that we're able to achieve a clear, transparent soap base, even without fractionated coconut oil or sorbitol. So you can see it's clear, and trust me when I tell you this, if you follow all the procedures that I've showed you in this video, trust me, you're going to achieve this. Just make sure you're using virgin coconut oil, or you can look for the exact one I used in the video. It's very easy to get. You can get it from any shop or any mall around you. And then let's go to the big one, and here is the moment of truth. So let's see if the small one is actually clear because it's small. Let's check the big one. So this is me just molding it, and now wait for it. Boom. Now can you see this? I mean, you can literally see my hand there. So that shows that this is good. And this is even the next day. This is the next day. Mostly, if you make transparent soap base and it's not going to come out transparent, after like 2 hours or 3 hours, it will turn cloudy. And sometimes after like 10 hours, it will turn cloudy. Now this is even the next day, and you can literally see that it's still clear. And I'm still going to use this soap to make soap. I'll use the soap base in my next video, and I'll show you, and that'll be possibly after some days, and I'll show you. It's still clear, so you can see. And this is me just checking it and making sure that it's clear enough. Imagine when you use this method using fractionated coconut oil, it's going to be extremely clear. It's really going to be extremely clear, but just that that fractionated is just too expensive for me. It's expensive, yeah. And let me tell you something. Do you know that this is also a good business idea? Yes, it is. Do you know the number of people that use transparent soap base for skincare formulation? So you can actually be selling transparent soap base. You can supply it to cosmetic shops, chemical shops, or skincare vendors. And it's really not cheap. It's not cheap. You can check any cosmetic shop around you, or you can ask any skincare vendor. Soap base is not cheap. You can actually register somewhere and learn how to make soap base. You can specialize in making soap base. Maybe all these, their mulatto whitening soap base, carrot soap base, goat milk soap base, all types of soap base. I know there are people online who actually teach people how to make things like this. Trust me when I tell you that this is a very good business idea. Now take for example mulatto soap base, which is basically a mixture of different whitening soap, botanical powders, and so on. If you're able to learn this from someone and you start producing mulatto soap base on your own, you supply it to cosmetic shops or organic skincare vendors or chemical shops, you'll be making money. I mean, everybody wants to glow, everybody wants to enhance their complexion, everybody wants to look good. So if you're able to formulate a good soap base like the mulatto soap base, black soap base, carrot soap base, and the rest, you can be making money from it. Honestly, there is money in soap business. There's really money in soap business. Anything called soap is an essential use. So there is really money in soap business. So you can start formulating any type of soap today. You can go into producing soap base or producing any type of soap. Trust me, there is money in soap business. So that's it. Now back to business. So this is me just showing you how clear the soap turned out. You can see it. It's really clear. I don't even need to cut the soap in slices to show you that the soap is clear. You can see it. Even with the big soap, it's still clear. Now let me tell you this. When following DIY, make sure to play the video alongside as you're producing or as you're making the product. Take for example, you want to produce this transparent soap base. Please do well to revisit this video. As you're watching the video, you're following it exactly the way you should. And honestly, that will help you to follow everything accordingly to make sure that you get it right. So if you really want to get a perfect result, make sure to revisit the video and follow it accordingly. So that's it. Now as you can see, the soap is clear, and that's exactly how it should be. Now, another thing you should also take note of is making sure that you wrap the soap. After producing your soap base, make sure to wrap it with either a cling film bag or you can use a Ziploc bag, because this is a glycerine soap. So if you leave it open, you're going to notice sweat. After some days, you are going to notice sweat. So to avoid the soap sweating, make sure to wrap it up with a cling film bag or a Ziploc bag. Did you watch the video to this point? If yes, congratulations to you, because you just learned how to make transparent soap base. Now, just a little advice. If you want to produce your own transparent soap base, I will advise you to start with a small quantity, especially if this is your first time. If this is your first time, I'll advise you to use the exact measurement that I have here, or you can divide it into 2 equal parts. And honestly, this is just to avoid mistakes. To avoid any mistake, please avoid making it in a large quantity. So like I said earlier, this is glycerine soap, and after producing your transparent soap base, you need to wrap it up with a cling film bag to avoid sweating. So I'll just go on and wrap it up with a cling film bag, and that's it. So friend, that is the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. And if you're just joining me for the first time, my name is Gifty and I'm super excited to welcome you here. Please do not forget to subscribe to my channel and also turn on your notification bell so that you'll be the first to watch my next video. And at the end of this video, please do not forget to give this video a thumbs up and leave your comments down below. And do not also forget to share this video to your friends. And now to my amazing gift team, thank you so much for the support. Thank you for encouraging me. Thanks for your comments. Thanks for your likes. Thank you for everything. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. So friend, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in my next video. But before then, stay blessed and keep loving one another. Bye.